Crack 'em if you got 'em.
Crack 'em if you got 'em, son. All day, every day.
Crack 'em if you got 'em, Seattle.
Here we are at Lumen Field. And is that a Harry Potter reference? Maybe. I don't know. I've casted a lot of Lumen spells.
Lumen videos.
We want to see Deuce represent. We want to see him repeat. I want some repeats. And I don't need 3 beats if they repeat.
I don't need 3 beats.
I don't need
if
3
they
beats.
repeat.
If they repeat. Let's go.
You don't think we're gonna make the postseason?
Maybe wild card.
So this is
Maybe wild card.
This is where I'm like, I'm good for a good ribbing, but like to say we're not gonna make the postseason, now I can't even argue with you. Because you've oh God.
You know it too. You know it.
Who's your quarterback?
This is our year. Look at those dudes. Look at those dudes. Look at those dudes. Look at those dudes. Let's go!
Let's go, Cowboys! Let's go, baby! Cowboys Nation showing up!
Most pristine athletes in modern history playing in the NFL. Even the offensive linemen are incredibly athletic. I mean, these guys are over 300 pounds, and you know they can
Not only the size, but the speed of the linemen. Are you kidding
fly
me?
on the field.
You're telling me a guy that's 330 pounds meant to block a guy that's 290 pounds is faster than me, a sporty 240?
High 240. High 240. High 240.
I could beat any one of those guys right now, and I've drank a 6-pack.
What? You're wearing Crocs.
My 40 time is better than any of them.
Erroneous. Erroneous.
Erroneous.
Erroneous on all accounts.
I've never been more sure of anything in my life.
How'd I do? 13-5.
Final quarter. Here we go, baby.
CD for the CD, baby.
And I'm going for 2. Woo! I don't know why my safety was just playing off so far.
Tackle him.
Yeah, well, I might be a boomer, but you sound like a pipsqueak. You don't even know how old I am.
No.
You little shit. You didn't win the game, I lost it.
Make sure you know where he is, because he understands how to
Call
get
that a
open
throw?
in key
Give
situations.
him drawers.
Anthony, Adam, AJ on the block. Dallas Cowboys swag, about to rock the flock. Canadian host to them Philly birds get mocked. Cowboys CanFan podcast stay locked.
Oh! Crack 'em if you got 'em. Oh!
I mean, it's hard to be excited with an intro song on a Monday
It is.
hangover when it's coming off of a devastating loss. But sometimes we got to get lifted to just get uplifted. You know what I'm saying?
Still better than the Panthers.
Still better than the Panthers.
Crack 'em if you got 'em.
Crack 'em if you got 'em, son.
Wow.
Crack him if you got it.
Crack 'em if you got 'em.
Anthony's drinking a bubbly. Like a pie.
What are those numbers beside your head there, Ant?
I don't want to I don't want to tell you. Like so last week in my week 1 drunken stupor, I was so stoked that we beat the Browns 33-17, and the very first Cowboys CanFan hangover, I had the score put up, and I felt like even after the loss, I need to have the score put up. So to the right of me or left of me, whichever side you guys see, we have the 44 by the New Orleans Saints and the 19 by the Dallas Cowboys.
What, this is like prediction, right?
Yeah, this is this is what I thought. This is a nightmare. Could you imagine that imagine yesterday you woke up and someone told you we were losing to the Saints 44-19.
Well,
I would have laughed.
If I told you Cowboys,
I would have laughed.
If I told you Cowboys were going to score 19 points, where would your mind be?
Oh, I would be like,
laughed.
So it must be what, a 19-17 game for
Nail-biter?
Cowboys?
Yeah.
Ooh.
19-0 game is
19-0.
Yesterday, the way my brain was with the Saints, and don't get me wrong, I thought we talked about it. I thought the Saints were going to be a bigger competition than the Browns, but I did not expect what happened yesterday.
Yeah, and the biggest question that comes from my mind, and not that it really matters, but it will unravel throughout the season. We'll either feel worse about this loss or better about this loss as we discover, did the Saints just hit 2 bad defenses in a row, or is their offense this lightning? And you're going to have to keep up with them because, yeah, man, they've put what has it been near over 90 points on the scoreboard?
91
season?
points.
I think up until when they punted it, they ended having 15 possessions
In a
over
row?
the 2 games with
Oh, wow.
15 touchdowns.
Guys,
Jesus.
I know we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but I've never watched a football game, not just Cowboys game. I've never watched a football game where the offense on their first 6 possessions scores touchdowns.
Yeah.
They scored touchdowns on their first 6 possessions. That is insane. That you can't win. Like, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is, doesn't matter what your offense is doing. If the team you're playing against scores on their first, not even scores, but gets touchdowns on their first 6 possessions, you're in for a day of hurt. And that's what we witnessed yesterday, man.
Oh, we were in a whole big bag of hurt yesterday. It seems a little like you kind of, like, I remember all yesterday after, because it was a morning game, we're still drunk a little bit, and it's not like seeped in yet. Like I didn't look at anything. I didn't want to look at any type of breakdowns or hear anybody talk. I kind of almost like barely watched the rest of the football games the rest of the day. I kind of was just watching Red Zone a bit, but wake up this morning, I'm not saying shell shocked because it is week 2. Got to remind ourselves week 2. It was almost like assessment mode. I was like, okay, what in the F actually happened to us yesterday? Like I felt a little bit like Zimmer. Like, obviously we saw Zimmer and we were laughing a bit. We weren't laughing. They showed Zimmer so many times yesterday and he looked shell shocked.
Oh, yeah.
And so I felt a little bit like Zimmer yesterday. Where we're like, this can't be real. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I don't want to listen to any TV personalities talk about it because everybody is like and it's because I have Cowboys in my YouTube algorithm. So I get blasted all that stuff. Anyways, I wanted to watch like breakdowns. I wanted to hear people talk about the game from a very objectional view, not necessarily just an analyst looking for those clickbaits. So I kind of spent today just trying to feel like what the F happened to us yesterday.
Well, I kind of went back today and edited a quick reel or a quick YouTube video of just how we were reacting during the game. And I almost find our first initial reactions and what we talk about as it happens, that's more telling than any type of analyst, like of the 3-letter networks that are going to talk about it today. The according to those guys, the Cowboy season's done. The Cowboys suck. We talked about it on the stream yesterday that this was very similar to the week 3 loss to the Cardinals last year. Were the Cardinals a worse opponent last year in 2023 than the Saints were this year? Yeah, but it was still that type of loss where it was like, it kind of caught you a little off guard. Like, I didn't expect it. I would have expected maybe if we lost by the Saints by 7, it would have been a little bit like, okay, the Saints are good. But because they blew us out and the Cowboys defense looks so bad, the only way I can cope with it is to kind of put it in the same realm as the Cardinals lost last year.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact too much on week 2, but we said it a couple times during the show because it was worth it. And that means we stream every Dallas Cowboys game. So come check us out on YouTube if you're wondering what's this guy talking about, the show?
The show? What are you talking about, Alex?
Is he talking about that PS5 baseball game?
The show.
I played it. I don't see you on there. Now I lost my my train of thought. No, it was what did we mention? Fuck me.
If you want me to, not it's an OnlyFans. I didn't say anything.
No. It was me because I'm watching you do this, but it's. I'll remember in a second here.
So behind baseball, I'm doing stuff.
That makes good radio. That makes good radio.
You're tuning in for
You
the
want me to
first
tell
time.
you what we were talking about prior? So
Yeah,
you might
yeah.
get your thought back. So we were talking about how I was surprised the loss, but I can kind of take it in the realm of the Cardinals' loss from last year.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. Thank you very much. What we were talking about was teams that are elite in the NFL don't have these losses. They can lose football games, but not like this. The saving grace is it happened early in the season. So was that the one? Like, did we get it out of the way early? Or are we going to deal with an inconsistent offense and defense throughout the season, and we're going to win the ones that we should win, but then struggle against lose the ones that we should win, and then struggle and win, or just completely defeat those who we're supposed to have competition against? And I guess we'll find out next week.
It's funny that you say that because a lot of people had the Cowboys losing week 1 and winning week 2.
Yeah,
that's
so,
great.
I mean,
yeah.
how much can you put in to predictions prior to the season? You just don't know until the season starts. And AJ, you had brought up that this Saints team, who knows, they might go on and be one of the best offenses that have ever played in the NFL, which would make us feel better about this loss. Or they end up just sucking and they got 2 really good wins out of the Cowboys and Carolina Panthers. I mean, we talked a lot of shit in the pregame about how they had 47 points, but it was against the Panthers.
Oh yeah.
And then they almost, luckily they didn't put more up than the Panthers, but it was just a whirlwind. And the saving grace, it was week 2, so there isn't a whole bunch of, like, it's not like a week 16 loss where you're fighting or vying for playoffs. So I don't know. I'm still a little bit shell shocked.
First of all, I want to just give Bandwagon Baba her first strike. She's swearing in chat, and I just think that we need to keep an eye on her. Once Kilo gets in here, I'll let him know. But also, let's just go. Let's start breaking some stuff down here to elicit some convo, because I think first thing we need to look at is there's a lot to talk about defense, and I think we save that just for a second here, okay? Because I want to look at this first half here, and we're just going to go through the drives and the result of those drives.
Okay, 1 sec. Let me bring the monitor up. I was just trying to. We're working with a new kind of
layout, and I like it.
I like it too. It's I call this my WayJ layout, because I'm like, I wanted to have something that was completely diff than what we were going, and I kind of like the mishmash of stuff that we got going on here. Very newspapery. So let's see.
Very
if this will work.
newspapery. I agree with that, and I do like it.
There we go. Okay, here's AJ's screen.
Monday Hangover. If we were in college, that would be our newsletter that we put out
yeah,
each
dude,
week.
100%.
I gotta ask you guys, were you hungover today?
No.
No. I mean, the 10 a.m. games, if you kind of stop drinking after the game, it's pretty hard to get hungover. I just ate some food, went to bed early, and you feel fine the next day.
Well, also we were shell shocked all yesterday, so I think
no screech shots, 0 screech shots.
No screech shots, which the screech shots are the scale tipper,
the catalyst of the hangover.
Yeah. Okay, and the heartburn. I'll just go through the drives top to bottom. First half here. Saints touchdown, Cowboys field goal. Saints touchdown, Cowboys field goal. Saints touchdown, Cowboys touchdown. Saints touchdown, Cowboys interception thrown. Saints touchdown, Cowboys field goal. So
in that first half, what's the kicker? What sticks out to you the most in that first half?
Obviously the interception, and the New Orlean Saints 6 touchdowns, but the Cowboys offense scored on almost every drive. The interception was bad. Obviously, it turned the ball over, but you could be pretty happy, except for we were going toe to toe, scoring points, but only getting field goals, and a lot of the field goals too. 41 yards. Or 45 yards was our first one. 41 yards was our second one, and the last one at 40 yards. So it's not like we got close and then had to kick a field goal. We kind of got the ball in a place where we just needed to move it into Brandon Aubrey's awesome reach that he has.
Well, it's easy to look at this and say the Saints scored touchdowns, the Cowboys didn't. But I'm going to tell you this. If you give up 5 touchdowns in the first half, if your defense gives up 5 touchdowns in the first half,
Yep. Say it again.
There's almost 0% chance you're winning. That's the only second time in Cowboys history of their whole time in the NFL. It tied a record for the worst first half performance allotted to points for the opposite team. So, yeah, it's shitty that the Cowboys offense didn't match them, but that's unrealistic. The Saints had a career day yesterday, and for a defense to give up 5 touchdowns in the first half, you're never going to win a football game after that.
Well,
if the offense was matching though, coming in, like let's say it was 35-30 or 35 35-31 or 35 points. No, but I'm saying like if it was 35-27 going into the half, well, you're in a shootout, right?
But you can't expect the offense to score 27 points in the half.
Yeah, and you can't. And most teams
35-27. That's a full football game.
I know
points.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, 35 points for the, like, we weren't expecting. I mean, I think at that point when they were going into the half at 35, we're like, part of us was like, oh my goodness, what's the final score gonna be, right?
Put it into perspective. The over-under for this football game was 44. That was the over-under. It was what the Saints scored. And they almost scored that in the first half. It's wild.
There's some things to talk about on offense. One thing, most important to me, but
bring it up, baby.
I think this is something. The other side of the ball. That was just a quick look at the offense, and then the other side of the ball was the defense here. And this is from Cowboy Feed. Just a screenshot, though. That's how we do it.
Yep.
Cowboy Feed. The Cowboys had 9 defensive players grade below 41.2 yesterday, with 6 of them grading below a 35 and 2 grading below a 30. And this is based off of PFF rankings, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, Donovan Wilson, number 10, 51.1. And you can see the list here. Jordan Lewis, 41. Kalen Carson, 39. Osa Dugazua, 36. Maurice Liufau, 33. Nealand, rookie, 33. Muzzie Smith, 30. Malik Hooker, 30. Linval Joseph, and Jordan Phillips, both 28 and 25 respectively. Just what stands out to you here?
That 10 players had under or almost under 50 for a PFF ranking. That's a lot of dehydrated pee, boys.
That's a lot. And you look at it, though, a lot of that came from our starting defensive tackles, all of them. Moved around like little babies.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And you could watch any highlight reel and you could talk about it all day. You could put whatever scheme you want in the world, but if the players out on the field aren't battling, like what are you doing here? Like we all blame, like yesterday we were kind of blaming Zimmer a little bit, but if you put in a scheme and those guys are just getting blown up off the ball, can you blame the defensive coordinator?
No, I mean, I listened to Zimmer, his press conference today. He's taking a lot of the blame. Like, so he's like, I heard what Micah said, or they asked about Micah Parsons' comment about it's, we all have to step up. Don't blame Zimmer. And Zimmer actually, his entire press conference is basically him, dying on the sword. I have to do better. I have to do this. So it's like, I mean, that obviously as a leader, he's going to take that regardless of what he says behind closed doors. Like, hopefully he's tearing stuff apart, but he's saying things like, I didn't have the guys ready for this. I didn't do that. It's my
as a leader should.
As a leader should. Elite X, just wanted to chime in on some chat comments here. Saints fan here just wanted to say, good game. I was not expecting a performance against y'all yesterday. Jalen Tolbert is a dog and will be a very sneaky wide receiver 3. Good luck for the rest of the season. Hey, that's a nice, that's some respect. We're used to,
hey man, we said the Saints balled out. They did.
We have Dan Zig saying everyone puts the sole blame on defense, but what happened to 60 million Dak Prescott? We'll get there.
Well, okay, so on the note on the defense, it was a very unsurprising game, unfortunately. Yep. The Cowboys didn't have any meanness, toughness, roughness in them, it looked like. And were just being pushed around by this offense. And I think Next Gen Stats is that thing that you're looking at. I'm going to bring up the Saints just to kind of flip through them whilst we talk about the defense, because it kind of helps paint a little picture here.
It's always easier when you have a little bit of a graphic to kind of go with what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just start with Rashid Shaheed. Here's his routes that he ran. And first of all, targets 4 for 4, 96 yards, 1 touchdown, and a yard average of 36. Most of his he had like a 70-something yard bomb. Maybe it was exactly 70 or 71 yards. That's where most of his yards came from. But you notice a trend here that he had two of his 4 passes out to the left-hand side of the offense. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to say about that, but
well, I got something to say about that. His biggest catch, you look at it right up the middle, that's against cover 2, man.
Yep.
That is not on. Mike Zimmer called the right play there. Mike Zimmer, that cover 2 defense was the right play there. And Shaheed just burned Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson.
Yep.
That if he's the only receiver going deep on that play, that should never happen. He went between the 2 safeties.
The definition of having that safety player there is so that nobody is behind them. Like,
exactly.
So you had a safety player, you had 2 safety players and a New Orleans Saint running so fast that he stumbles into the end zone. You're right. It should never have happened.
The Shaheed play, that touchdown on cover 2, the way they ran that defense, you need at least one of those 2. The expectation of those safeties is to not get beat, and they both got burned right up the gut.
Well, he almost got away with one there too.
Is this the Shaheed? Was that the Shaheed touchdown?
The first one was.
Oh, I think this was showing maybe a couple weeks. This was the first one, I believe, but it looks like it's reversed, maybe.
Yeah, but that's against the Panthers.
It's against the Panthers.
Okay, so then it's going to be here.
Right. Okay. So they did
they were showing
they did the same thing. I was like,
same
he
fucking play.
In? Yeah.
Right here. Look at him. Right up the gut. Both your safeties burn, man.
Thing is, he's not. Look at this quit though.
Great ball. Great fucking ball too.
But look at this quit in Hooker.
Yeah, he stopped running.
Yeah, he's jogging.
And then I remember after the touchdown, they were both looking at each other. Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson were both kind of looking at each other. It's like, guys, there was one.
Was that supposed to be your guy?
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be your guy?
Yeah.
Great ball. You got to say, Derek Carr dropped it in the breadbasket. I was talking a lot of shit about Derek Carr before the game in regards to him not being better than Dak Prescott. But the dude played unreal. He only threw 16 times, but he had 11 completions for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So he had a great game.
He had a nice game. Again, a pretty left side heavy passing game in the short, right?
Yeah,
he kind of spread it out a little bit more in the center and on the right side. Didn't really throw to the right side that much at all. But yeah, there's not much to see because he only threw 16 times.
You know what's funny? So the blue ones are where the guy caught it when he caught a touchdown.
Yeah.
Look at the little short one that he threw to of Alvin Kamara.
I know.
Just a little dish to Alvin Kamara that took it, I don't know, 60 yards or whatever the hell it ended up being.
And the other one was 50. One was behind line of scrimmage. The other one was 50-yard bomb.
Yeah, man.
Goodness.
But I think this is like one of the bigger things too is Kamara, 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is just his rushing.
Yep.
No TFLs, by the way. And look at this heavy left side action. All of these green lines are 5-yard over gains. So I think we got a really is it the left? It'd be the right side of the defense, right? Because we're looking at this from the offensive perspective.
Yes.
So the right side of the defense, we got some. That's what they picked that side of the.
They attacked it.
They attacked that side.
Well,
and so I think they
and it worked. I mean, everything you look at, it's just like Alvin Kamara had a career.
But not only
game.
Alvin Kamara, like Alvin Kamara had a great game, but the offensive line for the Saints were as big a contributor to the success for Kamara running it because
Absolutely.
they locked up our D line, they locked up our edges, like they were not letting anybody come through. Like the offensive line for the Saints, I don't want to say, I mean, yeah, we have completely underestimated them going into this week, and what they were able to do picking apart our team was devastating. Like, it was devastating when you look at some of the plays that they were doing. Like, they were almost going back to the basics of like basic run sweeps.
It was just power. It was power offense. Power offense running the ball.
Yeah.
They lined up. You knew they were running it. They put a big dude in the back, and the Cowboys got bullied off the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Our linebackers that we were so excited for, so excited after the Browns game, they were doing fuck all. They weren't attacking the line of scrimmage. Overshown was getting blown off the ball. Kendricks looked slow. Maurice Liufau ranked very low. The linebackers got bullied, and this was a concern that we had. And it's mainly because the defensive tackles don't do anything.
Yeah.
They just allow the linebackers to get a guard or a tackle on them and get blown up. So it's a problem, and it's a problem that we've seen the last few years, and we were hoping that it was going to get a little bit curtailed at the start of this season, and it did in the Browns game, but it definitely didn't in the Saints.
Look, it's like that Thai dog that attacked me when I was walking the streets of Copenhagen at 3 a.m. And I was looking really vicious at me, and it was coming quickly, okay? He had a good edge rush, but then I smacked it in the nose with my phone.
With a Chang, son.
With a Chang. No, I just scared it with my phone light, and the thing backed down. And so it's kind of the same thing with the Cowboys here, the defense. If they get, and I've heard it said, and I'll use it because it's a better analogy than what I just used. But if they get punched in, if they get punched in the mouth, they stop being bullies.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Dak's day. Now, again, not to sound like a Dak rider, and I feel annoyed with myself that I always preface that, but I don't think that he played a terrible first half. Was it the first interception where there was a slip?
Brooks fell down.
Right.
Brooks fell down in the first one.
That's a tough one. I still think, like, as a QB, an argument could be made that he could have pulled that back, but he was already well into pretty much passing that ball. That's a really tough interception to blame Dak on. But still,
it is interesting where you see both his interceptions.
Where
they both landed on the chart.
And who's missing? Jake Ferguson.
Oh, right.
That could be this offense. What did we say besides CD Lamb last year? Who was his number 2?
Jakey baby.
So that could be a huge thing. Having Jake Ferguson not out there could be slowing this offense down quite a bit.
One thing I did want to make a note of with Dak here is I believe it was 2 and 9 that he went over 15 yards here. 2 and 9. One was an interception, and then he also got a touchdown. So there's no deep ball threat, and I don't want to start saying this too early because even in my fantasy football, I don't like to make moves, even though I don't stick to it till like week 3 or after week 3. However, is it too early for the Cowboys, is this too much of an overreaction for the Cowboys maybe to look for a wide receiver to add a little bit more deep ball threat just to help? And my theory for this is getting someone to go deep is going to allow our run game to be, it'll keep the defense honest where they're not just going to be able to kind of forget about anything over 20 yards. And we just want, even if it's not, a deep ball every game, but just having a legitimate attempt be made downfield where it's like, hey, we almost took the top off of that one. We can't play. We need to make sure that we keep that covered, right? And that could help the whole defense or the whole offense. Sorry, instead of getting these 3 and outs and then Aubrey kicking and putting points on the board, at least they're going to be able to make those first downs and at least get into the red zone.
Well, I don't understand the whole. You have a burner. You have Turpin, who's a burner. I don't understand at one point in the game
We're not
you're
using
down
him
by 3 touchdowns to just throw it up to him. I don't understand. You've seen him playing in the backfield. Him and Deuce Vaughn kind of had that double set when they're in the backfield. But at one point, like, why not take your fastest guy in the field and just take a shot? Sure, you might not get the exact defense that you want to run that against, but why not just give it a go?
Yeah, and just give an eye test to these completions here. Like, you can see the majority of them are happening almost within the 5-6 yard line.
Yeah.
A lot of these
he didn't throw deep at all.
And do you think, obviously when it was going like that way, like Mike McCarthy does have a tendency to call a lot of shorter route plays when he was an offensive coordinator. Maybe he was just, again, trying to safely move the ball up the field. It doesn't look like we attempted, like you said, too many deep balls, too many deep threats. But yeah, you have Turpin, Brandon Cooks could also stretch the defense back a bit more too.
They can, but they're
not doing it.
They're not. So it's just not in McCarthy's scheme. It's not in the offensive scheme.
We'd have to look back to maybe they did have the plays and Dak didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, you're right.
True. Honestly, we don't know. Like, sure, you see here where he through, but you don't know.
Well, this is what
every receiver's doing at that time.
Chat right now, there's a couple guys in chat, James Ovid and Dan Zig. They're both saying the receivers aren't the problem. It's Dank who doesn't know how to read the defense, and he's not going through the progressions. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, possibly you look at what the plays are happening, and is Dak not seeing it downfield as much as he should?
Yeah, that could be very true. But either way, then, I just see a problem with to have your offense work. So, because you got to think, if you're not really moving the ball past the 15-yard line, the defense is going to start to catch up on that and just start cheating. And then you're going to get these takeaways or these, painful 3-and-outs, or they just kick a field goal and get, 3 points instead.
Well, and the weird thing in a situation when you're down by so many points,
why not?
Your offense should actually be doing the opposite of these short passes. They should be pushing the field, right? Like you should be at least seeing more attempts to go down the field.
And our boy CeeDee Lamb, only 7 targets, 4 receptions, and basically after he got this big touchdown here, you can see him streaking, caught it about the 15-yard line, and then took off himself.
60-yarder,
almost 65-yarder.
Oh man, we were shitting our pants. I think I shat my pants live.
But he didn't catch another ball after that, I don't think.
What about that one in the end zone where he caught it and the safety just fucking lit him up nicely, like clean hit? At first we thought it was a headshot, but the one, I think it's that one furthest to the left, the little route that he does to the 20-yard line.
This one,
where he caught it in the end zone, kind of tipped it, and then the safety just cleaned his clock. That was his last attempt, and could have been a catch, but the New Orlean Saints defense came to play and completely knocked him into a fifth dimension.
I think I missed that one. I think that's when I was outside or something like that.
You remember he got laid out.
Turpin?
You don't remember that?
I might have. I remember you guys telling. No,
you guys got to find it. You got to find it on X right now.
Okay.
You have to.
Okay.
If you don't remember, I think as soon as you watch it, you'll remember it. CeeDee Lamb laid out, or just CeeDee Lamb, and it'll come out. He was running down, perfectly placed ball, but such a nice read by the safety.
No, that's his touchdown. Sorry, let me just crank that sound down while I try to find it here.
Well, Alex is finding it. Canadian Cowboy says, personally, a Canadian Cowboy. So they sound like they're another Can fan. Personally, I think our wide receiver room is a bunch of divas, and paying CeeDee Lamb just enabled them. Which I don't. I mean, I don't.
You gotta keep CeeDee Lamb.
I don't know if you would call Brandon Cooks a diva, but Cooks is obviously not running as a wide receiver too right now, and then you have to rely on like Jalen Tolbert. Tolbert had that nice catch. He came back and he recovered that fumble yesterday. But that one catch where it's like it was in his hands and he got lit up and the ball shot right out because he didn't go towards the ball. There's I think we have a lot of inexperienced receivers outside of Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb, which is very troublesome. And that's why we look at a guy like Jake Ferguson, who is that great locker room guy. He's a leader on the offense. He's going to get in people's faces. Definitely felt him not being there yesterday for sure.
Well, I just have to say that if CeeDee Lamb wasn't on this team, there's not another wide receiver threat.
And you had to pay CD.
Crack him if you got him. Get that.
Crack him if you got him.
Bandwagon Bob says CD should have been in training camp. He's behind 3 weeks with Dak. More than 3 weeks. I mean,
I agree with.
I mean, but he was in all training camp last year, and he essentially didn't show up until week 6, and he balled out. And at least we're getting more out of him.
He still had 90 yards and a touchdown.
I know, that's what I'm saying. At least in week 2, we're seeing a lot more from.
You know what I mean, though? Like it's again, we're focusing on the offense. The defense gave up 5 touchdowns. It was the defense had 35 points. Going into halftime. That's insane.
Canadian Cowboy wants to correct himself. He goes, I watched CeeDee Lamb not block for years. He gives up on plays and doesn't work hard on run plays. I think diva is the wrong word. So
okay.
Hey, I agree. Hey, at least he had some facts to back it up. Yeah. I respect that.
Rico Dowdle, 7 carries, 30 yards. No TFLs, which was nice to see. But he didn't really have any big breakouts. He had a couple near 10-yard runs, but
do you guys, speaking of the run game, I think, you said Rico started to show up a bit. Zeke wasn't our starting running back this week. Are you guys worried about our running back room? Like, the running back committee is still happening, obviously, but clearly they are not happy with any of our running backs right now.
I just think last week's game is really hard to tell because you had to go away from the run game.
Cleveland game or this game?
This week.
Yeah, this week's game, yeah.
Week 2. New Orleans, rough game.
You're banning the run game to try to toss it up. Is that what you're saying?
I think so, yeah.
So I completely agree. I don't think you can really take too much from it.
Yeah, it was interesting, though, to see Zeke starting above Rico, but not much to really look at in the stats department here either. Torber didn't have a bad game.
I forgot about it until I was watching the reactions or listening to the reactions, where a couple of the times having Deuce Vaughn and Turpin in the backfield.
They hated it.
Yeah,
hated
what was going on there?
Hated it. It didn't work. They kept checking it down to Turpin. Hated it. Get rid of it. You don't have those guys in there to be running backs. I hated that. Get rid of that formation.
Yeah.
It didn't work. They used it way too much. You didn't see Zeke until like the second or third series. Hated it. As far as we're talking about the running backs, I just don't think they were utilized properly. I thought Rico Dowdle played pretty well. I thought when he had a chance to run the football, he looked well. But why are Turpin and Deuce Vaughn your options in so many of those situations?
Yeah.
I think they tried something, and I don't expect to see them try it again.
No, and I'd like them to see them just get back to some good old huck 'em chuck 'em run 'em football. This offense isn't really special enough to be utilizing any of those players. If you're going to utilize like in that way, if you're going to utilize Turpin, have him send the ball, have him run downfield a couple times a game and actually throw the ball to him. And if you're going to utilize Deuce, run him like a running back. That's the position he's here to play. And I'd like to actually see him because he's shown some good signs of promise. But if you're just going to have him out there doing trick stuff, it's just not working out.
I would rather
Cowboys aren't fancy enough for that.
I'd rather see Turpin in the slot just running as fast as he fucking can down the field.
Yes.
I'd rather him just do that because then someone has to cover him.
I'd rather see that, and I also would rather see Hunter Lepke in formation with Deuce Vaughn, being a lead block for him. I mean,
open the doors,
kick the doors,
open.
crank them open. TGR, aka Tony Goat Romo, aka Tony Troll Romo, says Deuce Vaughn package. The Deuce Vaughn package is wild. Use it twice on opening drive, I believe. I think he's saying the Deuce/Turpin. TGR, maybe check your spell check there. Okay, don't come into our chat and put a Deuce/Vaughn in there when you meant Deuce/Turpin. Okay, just want to check yourself before I wreck yourself.
Or Cavante/Vaughn.
Cavante/Vaughn.
What did you guys think is the thing that the Dallas Cowboys need to do to come correct, going or to learn from this and to move on and have Cowboys Nation be happy come this time next week?
You can't give up a touchdown every single possession next week. You can't. Against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, you as a defense, you have to make a stop or at least hold them to 3. Yeah, sure, they might score every possession, but they can't score touchdowns every possession.
Right.
You're in a win or a lose-lose situation if the offense scores on you every possession for a touchdown.
Hell yeah. I agree. I think getting some toughness up front. I don't know what you're going to do with those nose tackles because it's slim pickings. I mean, there's not really much you can go out and do unless there's going to be a mid-season trade. But yeah, they need to do some help. They need to help out the linebackers because the linebackers are going to get bullied around if they have to keep dealing with guards and centers and tackles coming up in their nose. And also just playing with a little bit more. If you're down, you're not out, and just try to make it look respectful. Because if the Cowboys at least, if they look like they were coming hard and just getting,
Excuse me?
if they looked like they were coming hard.
Bro,
On the
supposed to
other
be a
team,
family show.
okay,
It's
on the
supposed to be
other
a
team.
family show.
Then it would have changed at least you would have come away with that and been like, man, we just got beat up. But this doesn't feel good because I don't think we saw the best Cowboys that we could. At least I'm really hopeful that we didn't.
Yeah, you guys are saying the same thing. I'll echo some of it. I definitely think that effort needs to be a high priority for a lot of these defensive players. They should come out of this week feeling completely embarrassed. When they're watching the game film and you're seeing yourself jogging, it's like give yourself a head shake. I think looking at some of like the schemes that Kubiak ran on Mike Zimmer, he basically sat them in that kind of base defense. So that's why Overshone wasn't playing for the first little while. He's not on that personnel. And I think when Zimmer's looking back this week, we might see some rotational shifts in terms of what other players are going to be or what other teams are going to kind of come at them with. Like we have a very come at them hard with, So I definitely think the defense, there's stuff that you can't teach this week. There's stuff that the players need to dig hard and raw into themselves with. But there are some schemes that they can be prepared for because now, the Saints kind of showed a game plan on how to beat the Cowboys, and it's nothing too crazy. It was very much.
I'll sum it up for you. The Cowboys can't play like pussies like they did against the Saints.
Boosh.
They can't play like pussies. They got battled off the ball. And I got a little something for you guys. If you know someone that's a bunch of pussies, we have something for them to say. Guys, everyone and their dog today is reaching out to Cowboys fans.
Oh, yeah.
And we got something to say to everybody and their dog, especially their dog.
Yeah.
We want to tell them to go ahead and go
fuck yourselves.
All right, we'll be back Wednesday night for the main event. This is the second Cowboys CanFan Monday Hangover. We're going to be in this every Monday night during Monday Night Football.
Hell yeah.
We will be back Wednesday night to preview Cowboys versus Baltimore Ravens, where the Cowboys will get back on track. Crack them if you got them. Love everyone out there, and love you, bandwagon boys.
Peace. Crack them if you got them.